Hi guys, it's Erin and I'm here with a kind of different art journal video today. I'm doing the Allie Brown Honey Slim Pickins video or challenge, I guess. And the idea is that your partner or a honey or whoever is in your life that you like picks 5 items for you to work with. And my husband picked these things that I'm showing you. He's got 2 things of distress paint and he picked this boat stamp from Stampendous, and he picked a piece of paper because he originally picked watercolor paper, and I said, I'm using my journal, so he's like, where's pattern paper? So he found this by Pretty Little Studio, and so he kind of basically sorted through everything and found that. And then he picked this entire thing of paint. Now, the idea objects or things, I guess, to work with, and tools or whatever you want to use, but the idea came to her because she had to go on a trip and just kind of grab what she could. And but my husband is a painter. He does paintings, so I think that's why he picked so much paint. And so he's not as, I don't want to say clueless, but as uninformed about the things that are on my art cart and in my little area. So he picked things that are very familiar to him, and he picked things that he knew would, I would be able to make something out of. Like, he didn't just pick a piece of paper and a pen and say, go. So the way that I decided to view the challenge instead was, since I have so much paint, I thought I would just use all the paint. So I have to use every single color on that little strip as well as the 2 distress paints, because that way I figured that was more of a challenge than me using my normal 3 colors and then the paint, that kind of thing. So I thought that would be a kind of like I don't know what word I'm searching for, but concession. There we go. The sort of an extra challenge, because I don't usually use an entire rainbow set unless I say, hey, I'm going to use rainbow. But I had a very hard time. He picked these a couple days ahead of time. He didn't want me to film him because he's very camera shy, but he picked these a couple days ahead of time, and I just kind of had them on my desk. And even then, I couldn't think of what to make. So I said, you know what, just go ahead, sit down with your stuff, and go with it. And again, I'm showing you that I am using tools. I'm using my little Fisker stamp press because I kind of have to. I'm using black ink because he specifically asked, he's like, you get ink, right? And I'm like, I think that's a tool. I'm not sure, because I've watched a lot of the videos, and some people are like, yes, of course it's a tool. You would have that. And I'm like, I would have that. I have many travel sets that, they do include ink if I'm going to include stamps. So I'm like, I'm calling that a tool. But I didn't have, I wanted acetate for this, but I didn't have acetate or anything that would have acetate on it. So I said, well, these little deli sheets, I have a crap ton of those, and I would bring some with me if I went somewhere, so maybe that counts, So I thought to make this background with all of these stamp colors and just kind of sploosh it on there and see if that would come out interesting. And I just went insane with it. And in hindsight, what I could have done, really considering what I do later, is I could have just picked 2 or 3 colors like I normally would have and been fine, instead of using all of these colors and just making an utter mess. But I was having fun, and this was, like I said, it's totally without thought. I'm just trying to, do something. And I knew that paper could make perfect water, and I love the pattern that it gives for this. So, you saw me putting that down, and all I did was use matte medium. And on there, again, I would have matte medium with me because it's glue. So I figured that counted, glue and a pen and, that kind of thing. That counts. Or you get, as a freebie or whatever. So, and a brush, I would have a brush. So you saw me just sticking that down, and then I made some rocks on the side while I was busy talking and explaining exactly what I'm doing. This is hard. Like, I have 12 minutes to talk, and it's like, oh my God. Speaking of 12 minutes, this entire thing in real time took an hour and 10 minutes. And that's with dilly-dallying and drying and all of that stuff. It's an hour and 11 minutes, 10 minutes with filming. So, so you know how long it actually takes in real life, because a lot of it was me sitting here going, what do I do? I have no idea. So here you can see me trying to do some diamonds. Normally when I art journal, I would have a stencil with me of some sort. Even when I travel, I would have some sort of stencil with me. So it was really hard for me to not include a stencil. So I thought, well, what happens if I just paint some? I mean, I like diamonds, let's just paint some. But I did not like how much it was covering. So I'm calling gesso a freebie too. I don't know if that's allowed. You can decide for yourself and let me know in the comments if you think that that's cheating. Uh, I do have to admit that normally I would pre-gesso a bunch of these pages before I went on a trip because I have done that before. But I'm going to say I brought gesso with me, or I bought some white paint or something on this, mythical trip that we're going on to limit my products because, oh my God, I had to tone down all this crazy paint mess. I had no idea what I did, but it was just, I couldn't take it. So I had to tone it down and blot some of that crazy green because I love that clover green. But wow, like putting it in the sky like that was not a very smart idea. This is not what I should have done. So I thought, yeah, I'll just, I would normally just stencil it out, but it needed that paint because it was totally overwhelming the blue. And like I said, my husband, Mike, he's a painter. He does the Bob Ross style paintings and, with oil paints and all that. I can't do that because of the smell of the stuff. But, he does great work and everything, so he's very familiar with paint. So he's like, oh, look, acrylic paint, here you go. You can have all of the things. And that was a challenge in and of itself, I guess, because I just went insane with all of the things, right? So, it's kind of the whole idea of the challenge is to say, hey, look at all the things that we have and collect and use and rely on and how little you can actually use to make stuff with. And my challenge just went nuts in both directions. It's like, look at all the things you have to use and look at all the things you wouldn't use. And yeah, so I thought that was kind of crazy. But it did allow me to do this, which is paint the happy little boat, a bunch of, normal happy little colors that I would, I would do if I had done this with any amount of forethought or planning or picking of my own supplies. Now, I'm not going to say that I usually plan my art journals because I don't. I just kind of sit down and say, I kind of want to do this. Sometimes I will have gone on Pinterest and said, all right, I want to use this quote. What sort of maybe mixes well with this quote? But I'm not going to say that okay, I'm going to put this here, I'm going to put that there, I'm going to use this stencil. No, I don't do that. Because I don't have that kind of brain. I can't do it. I have tried before. I mean, like, if I look something up and I'm like, oh, I want to make that, it'll never look the same. So, it'll never even look close to what I did. So I just kind of say to myself, like, if I'm going to sit down an art journal, I say, I want to play with these supplies. And that I play with those supplies. And it either comes out into something I like or it doesn't. And so I thought that this challenge would be a lot easier than it was because this is how I create, right? Instead of myself picking the supplies, it was you get just, okay, here's some supplies, play with them. You have no ideas. But that is not what happened. And here I finally realized that you guys are so far away and you probably can't see. So that's when I move in. So hopefully you've been seeing okay before then. But you can see really closely how bad this mess is. Like, I had the idea that I was going to have this drippy sort of, splodgy background, and it was going to look so cohesive, and it was going to make the coolest galaxy-type sky or whatever, but I didn't have black, and I didn't think to mix the colors, and I didn't think of a lot of things that, hindsight is telling me, hey, this would have been a way better page if you had done this. But I didn't think of any of those things. So, yeah, it's like this crazy painty mess, and I had to make sure to avoid the boat, because if I didn't avoid the boat, I didn't have that extra piece of paper to stamp the boat on. Now, I had thought, okay, we'll just flip the piece of the pretty little studio paper over because it's not double-sided, but I didn't want to waste it, and I knew that I wanted to paint the boat, because I love painting the boat. I've done this boat before, in another artsy fartsy video, which you can go check that out. If I'm smart, I'll remember to link it. If not, they're all in a playlist. Don't worry about it. But so yeah, I've colored this boat before, and it's awesome. I love coloring the sails. So I should have just said, hey, you're going to use at least 3 colors on this. You're going to use the brown. You don't have to put all these colors in the background, you know. You could just make a normal blue sky with all of the freaking blues, right? Did not do that, did I? And again, here you see another thing I could have done. I'm going to move it over. There you go. I thought, okay, well, I can put, to give those rocks and stuff some depth, I can put, you know, grass and stuff on it so it sort of looks like it's, you know, a tiered hill thing. So that would have used a bunch of colors. Didn't matter. I still just, the sky went crazy. And, I mean, maybe you're sitting there going, oh, it looks fine. And I hope so, because I hope that you're not sitting there going, oh my God, what did she do on this? It is so disgusting. Because I tried, I swear. You should, I definitely recommend this challenge, because we're coming to the end now. I definitely recommend this challenge. You know, have your partner, have your child, have your parent or whatever, pick out 5 of your things, especially if they have no idea what your supplies are. I mean, I saw a lot of the people, they were kind of worried about their partner seeing all of the stuff, but, you know, Mike has paid for all of this. Mike's held pretty much everything in his hand as he paid for it. So it's not like he hasn't seen it. And I didn't want to overwhelm him, so I said, just go ahead and look at my art cart, and I'm not going to film you or anything. So he picked them out while I was making dinner, and I came over, and I'm like, oh. Oh, this is so much paint. So, you know, but he picked things that he recognized and would be able to use, that kind of thing. So it's interesting to see the ones that, and the ones that try and help their partner, or, you know, the children that are just like, I want yellow. One of the kids just, I want yellow. Mom, do yellow. So I thought that was funny. And this was all that was in my head. I didn't pick this quote out of Pinterest or anything. This, you know, go your own way was just in my head, and I figured for a boat it worked. Put quotes in my journals, so I'm hoping that that's enough. And then I used the white Uniball, again, something that would be in my travel thing, to do some waves, you know, the white caps on the waves, so it looks more wishy-washy watery. And I don't know why I did this on camera, but it looks a lot better without the stuff in there. So there's super sped up close up for no reason. And then here's a photo of actual real light. And I hope you enjoyed it, and check out the links below. And thanks. Bye.